The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar by solutionXchg on SAP S/4HANA compliant storage for your archived data and documents. We're happy you could attend and hope you will find the presentation interesting. My name is Jochen Hager, and I will be your host throughout the session. Up front, a few administrative items. Our presentation today will take about 30 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes reserved at the end for questions. And a few procedural and technical notes on this. All participants are on mute during the full duration of the webinar. Please post any questions or concerns through the questions function in your administration panel on the right side of your screen. If you cannot hear us or cannot see the presentation, please also alert us through the questions panel. We will send out a transcript to those who are interested after the webinar. Please let us know via email to info@solutionXchg.com. That's info@solutionXchg.com. We also have prepared 2 handouts that you can download from your GoToWebinar control panel, one on a manufacturing case study, and the other one an iTernity white paper on SAP archiving. Please feel free to download these assets. Let's dive right into the topic. Our speaker today is my business partner and compliance specialist, Kristen Gerling. Kristen, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Jochen. Yeah, my name is Kristen Gerling, and I'm a managing partner at solutionXchg. I have been a consultant for SAP standard modules, FI and CO in my past, and have worked for some of the enterprise content management solution providers or document management solution providers that have a tight linkage to SAP. And Jochen and I have in 2009 formed solutionXchg, and I have been a managing partner within solutionXchg since then. And my focus within our organization is compliance storage. I handle all our iTernity iCAS customers, and am also working as an agent for iTernity itself, representing iTernity in the Americas with its main partners like HPE and Microsoft and others. Without much ado, we'll dive into the topic today. A little bit about regulatory compliant storage for your regular SCP data and documents, as well as if you are ready to make that jump to S/4HANA in the near future, some things to look out for, and how your current processes are impacted by that move to S/4HANA, and how that storage solution can grow with you when you're making that jump. Before we talk about the solution, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction into the topic and clarify some definitions as far as what we as solutionXchg are talking about when we're talking about data archiving in SAP and document archiving in SAP and the storage components. And then we'll talk a little bit about what are legal requirements for regulatory compliant archiving, and then really dive into the iTernity iCAS architecture, how the actual archiving process works with iTernity iCAS and its features. And we'll conclude this with the benefits of the solution for your current SAP environment, as well as any outlook for your future S/4HANA implementation. So when we're talking about SAP data archiving, we're looking at actually taking data off of the SAP database, putting it into flat files, storing it on a file system, and then some customers actually stop at the file system level. Some customers are making another job run within the SAP SARA job queue and are moving those files to their enterprise content management or document management system. And from there on, the actual file gets then stored on a storage solution. That can be another regular file system, that can be a write once, read many compliant storage architecture in the back end. That is depending on how you set up your infrastructure here. But this is the normal data archiving process, that you're offloading data off your ERP system, moving it to a flat file in order to make your database smaller, so that it is easier to back up your system, that your performance on your SAP system is increased, and many other benefits around that. When we're looking at what SCP Data Archiving and how that changes when we're moving towards HANA, components like SAP ILM are introduced, SAP's Information Lifecycle Management. But what you see is even with S/4HANA, you still have the option to do regular data archiving, ADK data archiving, and you can do SAP ILM. And with that, you have the option to have a content management solution behind that is either BC-ILM compliant for the SCP ILM setup, or is an ArchiveLink compliant content management, document management solution that would sit behind the regular SAP archiving box here. So nothing really that much that changes. What is really new is that you have data aging as well. So within S/4HANA, you don't have to offload the data as fast as you do today to the archive. You have more you're buying more time with it being in a what SAP calls cold historical state, that is on slower storage than the S/4HANA, than the HANA database, but still accessible in the system relatively fast when you're deciding you really want to consider this as frozen data. Then you can move it to the archive or to SAP ILM. When we look at document archiving, it's very similar. There is no file system in between moving the documents to a content management or document management system layer. The data either is created through SAP output, or you have scanners or accepting electronic documents that you want to attach to transactions and master data records. These are assigned then through ArchiveLink to an ECM and DMS system, and behind that ECM and DMS system, there's again a storage system. Like I said, the same goes with data archiving as it goes with document archiving. Most customers will have here a write once, read many compliant storage system in place that then actually holds the files and serves them up if they are retrieved from the from an SAP user point of view. And our focus today is looking at alternatives on how to modernize this storage system. So when document archiving moves to S/4HANA, things can change a little bit. I mean, you will still have the ArchiveLink connectivity to a content management or document management system if you choose to still use that. However, SAP also enhances their offering as far as document attachment, and including some of their cloud solutions, for example, Concur or Ariba or SuccessFactors. They can actually exchange documents through a CMIS interface with different content management platforms. And behind those content management platforms, we would then have, again, a write once, read many compliant storage solution, just because in most cases, the data, may it be, with SuccessFactors, HR relevant data, or financial transactions with Ariba, they all still fall under regulatory compliant guidelines, and therefore should, as it is industry standard now, should be stored in a write once, read many compliant storage solution as the file itself. They're managed by the ECM systems or the content server or DMS systems, but the file itself resides on this compliant storage platform. And when we're talking about regulatory compliance, what do all these different regulations that can be on the federal level, that can be on the state level, that can be international guidelines like Basel and SOX, federal, some of you especially who are in if you are in the banking industry or stock trading industry, you need to comply to SEC 17A-4. Healthcare providers need to comply to HIPAA, but all these regulations have in common certain guidelines as far as how data and documents need to be handled and need to be stored for long-term archiving, and that is that the data has to be immutable and tamper-proof, so no changing of a record that is considered an original, and no premature deletion. The data should get encrypted so that the data at rest is encrypted and is protected that way. It should be kept for a specific time frame, which is a retention period, and that retention should be enforced so that if a system request comes in for a deletion and the retention date has not been reached yet, that deletion request needs to be rejected by the system. Also, because we're talking long-term data and long-term archiving, you need to be able to migrate that data to future storage solutions. So if you had implemented the latest and greatest in technology 5 years ago, today that storage might not be up to par anymore. It might be end of life, and you need to be able to securely migrate your data off of that storage onto new media, and that should be made as easy as possible. And also, one thing that these regulations are requiring is that users have to be able to access the data in a reasonable time frame, so there shouldn't be long downtime periods for getting a hold of this data. A solution for that is iTernity ICAS. And what does it look like when we're looking at an SAP environment? Is we would start out with SAP, and we can archive our data and our documents to an enterprise content management or document management system. And from then on, that system then writes those individual files. If you're thinking of documents, the PDF files, if you're thinking of data archiving, the ADK files, to the ICAS software layer, which is a middleware sitting between these document and content management systems and the storage. And what ICAS provides is data integrity and privacy. it allows the files to be stored on the storage in a write once, read many compliant manner as CSC containers. These containers can be encrypted. They have retention on the file level, so you cannot delete the file or change it until that retention date has been met. There are several other features for writing out the files twice so that you have 2 synchronous copies and things like that. What ICAST also provides is hardware independence, because as a software layer, iTernity iCAS can work with any direct attached storage, network addressable storage, SAN, block storage, different object storage products, and it can leverage the cloud as well. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as a customer, a lot of scalability, and is a very cost-efficient solution. And for providing that regulatory compliance on your archive data for a long period of time. When we look at how this was accomplished in the past, we have dedicated storage appliances for this. Way back, it used to be the optical jukeboxes. Those have long disappeared. Then EMC Centera really changed that market a lot. Some of you might still have EMC Centeras in use and are aware of that product being end of sale, and that you need to move on to new technology there as well. Hitachi HCAP is another one, NetApp SnapLock. What all these dedicated storage appliances have in common is that they are hardware combined with software, proprietary frameworks that lock you into these components. You're not flexible to switch out the hardware underneath. You have proprietariness in a lot of ways, so it's not as easy to migrate off of these solutions to new hardware platforms when the time is right for doing so. The solutions need to be licensed accordingly to what you expect your archive to grow with. You can't flexibly grow your archive when your data actually is growing. When you're switching out these appliances, you have to relicense a whole new appliance, not just the software component as it would be in the iTernity iCAS. And because they're not really your mainstream storage technology in your data center, they might cause a headache as far as that there needs to be additional training for your staff on operation and maintenance of these solutions, because they're not what you're all familiar with, and what you're predominantly using in your data center. So iTernity iCAS is a better way as far as giving you flexibility, using whatever storage technology you would like to underneath. And when that storage technology reaches its end of life, then it can be easily switched out with new storage, and the migration becomes less of a headache than it is with these proprietary solutions. To talk a little bit more about iTernity iCAS itself, it is a middleware sitting between SAP and the attached content management solution and the storage. It works through a file system interface between these 2 layers, the content management solution, and all it needs to have is an NTFS formatted storage backend that it can write to. iTernity iCAS has been validated with more than 140 different business applications. There's various different business application, content management solutions in the SAP environment that it was validated. The SAP ContentServer file system version, OpenText mentions iTernity in their release notes, KGS, PBS, Documentum, and many other archive link compliant content management and DMS solutions can leverage the iTernity iCAS to provide a write once, read many compliant archive as a backend. It provides, like I said, write once, read many, so is an immutable storage. Uses its own patented CSC technology, has features like self-healing, encryption, and others that you can turn on through configuration, protects your files up until a retention date has been reached, and is certified by KPMG for its WORM compliance and GDPR, following the GDPR guidelines, which is a data privacy law in the European Union, the right to be forgotten, and also has been assessed by Cohesed Associates for SEC 17A-4 compliance, which is really considered one of the tightest compliant archiving regulation standards out there. The solution supports direct attached storage, NAS, SAN, block, object storage, and cloud storage as backend storage infrastructure. And iTernity has more than 1,300 customers in various industries worldwide that rely on iCAS for a very flexible and cost-efficient solution for providing regulatory compliance for their archive data. When we look at the archive process in a little bit more detail, again, through this virtual file system interface between the business application layer and iTernity, the data is written from that application to this file share, and then the iTernity services, depending on how that share is configured, create the retention date, encrypt the file, and hash that file, and store that, or create a CSC container, and that CSC container is then moved to the storage layer. These CSC containers are self-sustainable and can be migrated to future infrastructures easily. They can also be used to rebuild the whole archive again. All you would need to do is reinstall the software and then have a process go through these CSC containers. They actually can recreate. You can recreate the archive by just having the containers, so they can be backed up easily to with your regular backup technology. You can have a backup in the cloud, depending how you want to set up your environment. One feature that iTernity has is self-healing, and that is that it can be set up to actually synchronously write a file out to 2 different storage targets. And then because each container, each content storage container CSC file is hashed, and the hash is made out of the file metadata as well as the file content. iTernity can check the integrity of these files at any given point in time, and if it finds a file that has been corrupted through bit rot or silent disk corruption, it can actually try to repair that file from the second location where it writes the file to. So that is a job that runs in the background and just goes over the entire archive and identifies files that have issues with and repairs them itself. So It is better than just storage mirroring because of the synchronous write. It provides really two proven hashed copies of the file. And with mirroring, storage mirroring technologies or replication technologies, what can happen is that a file gets corrupted through bitrot or something, and then it gets just mirrored over as broken as it is to the other side. This ensures that you cannot run into situations like this. It's especially important when we're looking at archived data that is not frequently accessed. With backups and so on, yes, most of you might be able to go back 30 days, but if a file is not accessed for 5 years and then all of a sudden is accessed and you notice then that something is wrong with that file, it is too late restoring a backup and repairing it that way or anything. So having self-healing is increasing the level of security and minimizes risks on your archive data for SAP. Another feature is encryption for data at rest. ICAST provides AES 256 encryption for the data, and iTernity is actually coming out with a new service offering in Q1 of 2020 that helps customers to protect themselves against ransomware attacks. So there will be a new offering out that ensures that if you get attacked through a cyber attack, that there will always be a protected copy of your data that has not been impacted by the ransomware. You can also leverage the cloud as a storage, as I mentioned. We have two options there where you can run ICAS as a virtual server on Azure or AWS or any of your on-premise object storage solutions that support the S3 interface with a server leveraging virtual disk as storage. So the virtual machine that iTernity iCAS runs on would have to see the disks as mounted to that server. Option B is running ICAS on a virtual machine on premise with a tier 1 storage being virtual disks and a tier storage being for example, Microsoft Azure Blob Storage. So two different options of leveraging the cloud for your write once, read many compliant archive. Just to highlight again that the iTernity software supports a large number, it's over 140 different applications, business applications. You can go to the URL listed below on the iTernity website to look at different ones. To highlight just a few again that are relevant for SAP itself is of SAP, the ContentServer, it's OpenText, it's Documentum by OpenText, PBS. We also have installations with IBM FileNet P8 and various others. For other business use cases like healthcare, we have solutions as well as for financial services, for voice recording, for video surveillance. There's a large number of different use cases that we support outside of the SAP use case. If you're interested, I can only encourage you to go to the website and check out other applications that you might already be running in your organization. To give you a few references on customers that are actually running iTernity, ICAST, BMW has thrown out its entire EMC Centera landscape and globally and replaced that with iTernity, ICAST. We have customers here in the US like Steel, the chainsaw manufacturer. We have customers like Bell Canada who are at telecom that are using our solutions, healthcare providers. Interesting also, Deloitte as an auditing company in the Netherlands is using the solution for its SAP archiving and email archiving. So we have different customers coming from all kinds of different industries using our solution as a safe and secure long-term archiving platform, meeting their compliance needs. To summarize again, the benefits of iTernity ICAS, it is just a software layer between your ECM and DMS solution and the storage hardware, meaning you are flexible and free to replace the hardware whenever you think it is necessary, and it can be done in a very easy, cost-efficient way. You can leverage the cloud with this solution if you intend to do so. And the solution follows industry standards, therefore it is very easy to implement, it is easy to administer, and reduces your total cost of ownership significantly compared to solutions like NetApp, SnapBlock, or EMC Centera. And with it all, you get the same level of security of the data, of AES 256 encryption. All the files are being hashed, so the security and the privacy of the data does not change, but you're gaining hardware independence, flexibility, ease of scalability, and significant cost efficiency. A few words on our company SolutionXchg. We bring innovative software products to the US. iTernity ICAS is one example for that, and we represent that with other major, we represent iTernity here also with other major resellers of iTernity ICAS in the US. HPE is one of them. Microsoft is another. And we also are a reseller for another content management solution in the SAP market here in the US called KGS. And we do all the consulting services around that solution for our customers. We have a strong SCP Data Archiving and document management expertise. Both Jochen and I, as well as our consultants, all have been in the SAP market, for implementation market and consulting in that market for more than 20 years. The solutions that we represent, like iTernity ICAS and KGS, are low cost, high quality, and extreme ROI generating SAP add-on solutions from different vendors. And with that, I would hand it back over to you, Jochen, and thank you very much for attending this webinar today.
Thank you, Kristen. Great presentation. And for our audience, this concludes the presentation section. We do have a few questions here, which I would like to select just a few from. Kristen, we have a question here that says, why do I need compliant archive solutions for SAP?
Okay. I think I touched on that a little bit when I mentioned HR documents and finance documents earlier in the presentation. especially when you're handling electronic documents, may they be scanned or generated out directly from SAP, like your outgoing documents, you have financial records that by law you are supposed to hold on to in their original form for 7 years. And that's an IRS law. So that is one requirement for having a write once, read many compliant long-term archiving solution. And then HR documents, those and a lot of times you actually have to hold on to much longer. It can be 30 years after an employee leaves the company, if it's benefits related and pension related and things like that. So there are documents that are handled within SAP processes or attached to transactions or master data records that do require by law that you are keeping those for a certain duration of time. IRS has 7 years for accounting documents. Other laws are out there that require you to hold on to them even longer.
Thank you. Great. And another question we have: how complex is a standard iTernity iCAS installation? Can you give us an idea?
Well, during the analysis, we will scope out the solution. We will know how many servers we need to install the solution on, depending on your high availability and disaster recovery requirements. But a standard install normally takes between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours on a remote session, together with a consultant who does the installation for you. And that includes the configuration, and basically then you're ready to go. This is also why we are very, very happy to provide free proof of concepts where you set up a virtual machine with the operating system and we come in, install the software, and configure it to the application that you want to use as a front end that writes the data to iTernity iCAS, and then you can test the solution out and get comfortable with it before you're making a purchasing decision.
And the last question is probably because you mentioned that iTernity iCAS is certified for so many content management products. Which archiving products or content management products can be combined with iTernity iCAS for SAP archiving?
So our largest installation base is for SAP archives is the combination where we have OpenText running in front of iTernity iCAS. We have a lot of KGS customers that use iTernity iCAS. There's Saperion customers. BMW uses still a lot of SAP ContentServers installations. There's a large number of different SAP content management, document management solution providers that are supported, and IBM FileNet, Documentum, PBS ContentLink. I mean, the list is very, very long. And please contact us if you have questions about a solution that you're using today, if you're not sure if that could work with iTernity iCAS. Because we're a file system interface to these applications, it's almost impossible that we can't connect to it and make it work.
Great, thank you very much. And these are all the questions we have here for today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact us anytime at info@solutionexchg.com. Just go to our website, you will find all our contact information right there. Thank you very much for attending our webinar today. Thank you, Kristen, for giving us a great presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. Until next time, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.